The next thing I want to discuss, guys, starting with you, is I think it's pretty much common knowledge. Every Spurs fan I'm speaking to is pretty much in agreement. Hopefully everyone here is that we need another forward. We need some more goals added somewhere. It came out today, I think it was Charlie Eccleshare, that said that one of Spurs' first priorities for the next window is going to be either a centre forward or a left-sided forward. So this isn't me saying it. It's Charlie Eccleshare was saying this. What's more important, Has? Is it going to be a left-sided player, i.e. a left winger? Is it going to be a striker? If it's a striker, what does that mean then for Son's position in the team? What do you make about this needing a forward, and where do they fit in?
Well, look, I think Sonny's come in. He's done pretty well to get the amount of goals that he's got so far. We all said that he should have started down the middle from the beginning of the season. Richarlison just isn't that guy. And we've seen in the last few games that Richarlison's come in to play on the left. He's limited whether he plays on the left or through the centre, to be honest with you. That's my view on it. But I think if we're going to go for someone, for me, it's got to be in that striker position. The left wing position, someone that can play sort of left forward. I just think with Perisic being out, with Solomon being out as well, we've already got 2 left wingers out. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say Brennan Johnson on the left. Brennan Johnson can play on the left. Predominantly, he was a right winger at Nottingham Forest. But I think he will try and utilise him on that left-hand side. But for me, a left forward would be the one to go for in the striking options moving forward in January. But, for now, if we get an injury to Son, what do? We revert back to Richarlison. There's no one else that can play up top. Richarlison playing through the middle just doesn't work for me. It does not get any goals. So I just think it has to be someone that can play both positions, maybe, hit 2 birds with 1 stone. But having said that, I really think we need to prioritise that centre-back position, because one injury to any of the 2 that we have at the back, Van de Ven and Romero, we've got the likes of Dyer coming in. We've got the likes of possibly Davies coming in.
Has. That's the next topic. Don't worry. That's the next topic.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But I just think, look, talking about up top, I just think it needs to be a left forward of some kind. And do you know what? It's a real shame, because initially when Richarlison come in, and he's come in at a massive price tag, I thought he was that player that could come in, a left forward, someone who can cut in, get goals for us. It just hasn't worked out. I would rather see Richarlison on the left if we're not going for a left winger, rather than through the middle, because it just doesn't work. It does not work. He's very limited as a footballer. If you said to me in January, Saudi side's going to come in and make a bid for him, I'll take the money straight away and reinvest. There's a lot of potential players that we can bring in place of Richarlison, but for me, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, let me, Perchy, I'll come to you on this front. Look, the forward position, we've got loads up there. I feel like we've got loads of players there. If you actually look at, obviously Perisic is injured, but you've got Solomon, Richarlison, Brennan Johnson, Kulusevski, Hill. I'm not mentioning Son. We don't need to mention him. He's the one. We need another one. Do we still, after buying all of these wingers and forwards, we need another one? Do we?
Yeah, Solomon's done his ACL, right? So he's going to be out till February, March.
I think we have to. I see a lot of. I'm not saying you will, but there's a lot of short-termisms at the moment. Well, Son's out to the Asia Cup. I think we need it anyway. I think regardless if players are going to like the AFCON and stuff like that, I hear people go, "Well, we need this because they're doing this." No. I think we need to look at it the bigger picture. I think we've got games at the moment where we're playing Richarlison, and the fact is if we're playing Richarlison, tells me that we have got a massive problem. Injuries are going to happen, right? The likes of Solomon getting an injury, Perisic going out for the end of the season doesn't help. I think it's all about long term. I think I'm torn behind it. Do you go and buy out an out striker, using the term Santiago Jimenez? We like it. We love this on this channel. Him. Or do you go out and get somebody that can do a bit of both? Do you go and get in one that can play down the middle but can also play off the left? Do you go and get versatility over a position specialist, so to speak? I think that's the bit I'm torn at the moment, because you would like someone that can play down the middle, that can also play down the left. But I think for me, you've got to find goals. I think at the moment, our wider players aren't getting enough goals. I always say it. Without Heung-min Son at the moment, we're not scoring many goals.
Yeah, I mean, Stel, I mean, the interesting thing about this is when you look at, let's look at the two best clubs in the country. I know we had a slight disagreement on who that was the other night, but if we look at historically in the last 5-6 years with Liverpool and City, what they've got is they've got loads of different forwards that can all do different things. Do you know what I mean? Like if you look at Man City, they've got the two goal scorers in Alvarez and Haaland. Then you've got the pace and the speed of Doku. Then you've got the trickery and the movement and the driving forward of Grealish and Foden. And Bernardo Silva just does whatever he wants to do. Liverpool have got the power of Darwin Núñez, the kind of unpredictability of Núñez, the wide play in Salah and Diaz, and then Gakpo and Jota, who kind of don't really have a position but float about, grab goals. We don't seem to really have that at all in our forward lines. Do we need to adopt those sort of models where we start filling out with lots of different options? Or do you think we just need an out-and-out forward?
If you're thinking long-term, you need options. If you're thinking just this season, just get an out-and-out player. So it depends whether you're thinking short-term or long-term. So it's probably a mixture of both. I don't see why we can't buy a striker and an attacking left-sided player. I don't see why we must limit ourselves to one player. We've got £100 million for Harry Kane. For me, if I had to prioritise, I'd take a striker because, look, Johnson can play out wide. He's shown us. Worst case, and it's not a bad option, you move Son back out left. We know he can do a job there. Obviously, maybe he's not as good as it in that role as what he's been in the past. He's better more as a striker. But we need a second striker because if, let's say, Johnson doesn't get injured, Ritchie can come in. Okay, we know it's not great, but he can come in. Son can go out there. Bryan Hill, he's back. Maybe he can play there. But if Son gets injured, we have no second choice striker.
That's
we don't
the
have
worry,
anything.
isn't it?
Veliz is a kid. Richarlison is god awful. We need a proper number 9 at this club. We don't have one. So
still, I don't even think it's about a number 9. I think we need goals, right? Listen, because there's some like you could use.
That's what a number 9 does, though, doesn't it, Perchy?
No, but not all of them. Like some number 9s, like look at Jesus doesn't score a mountain of goals.
That's why I said a proper number 9.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
nine gets you goals.
Yeah, problem is you're right with Son. I mean, it feels like
if it was me, Perchy, if it was me, right, I would get a mixture of proven and maybe a bit of a gamble.
I agree.
In terms of a striker, there was that guy that I forgot his name. You mentioned him the other day, and I went and looked. Was it Jimenez?
Yeah, Santiago Jimenez. Yeah, right. Fine.
Put a bid in for him. Ivan Toney. I know he's a bit older. Maybe we might not make that happen in the price.
100 million. 100 million.
Okay, so forget Ivan Toney then. Get Jimenez. And if it was me, I would put in a bid for Jadon Sancho. And the reason I would is because he's a good player, but he is a victim of the environment at Man United. A lot of our players, Basuma, was a victim of the environment at Spurs. Take Jadon Sancho out of the cesspit that's Man United, bring him to a positive environment with a positive manager and a team that's fresh and actually looking forward.
Isn't that, when you say it's a bit of a high-risk gamble, though? Because
it is a gamble.
Yeah, but it would be. But normally,
it's been there too long.
But
right?
is it? Yeah, I think what you put. But it's like when I talk about gambling, that's a high-risk gamble, right? Like when you talk, sometimes when you talk about gambling, you go, "Oh, I'll put a 20 million bid in for this 21-year-old that everyone's raving about, but he could come good." But if you drop him in, but if you're with a Sancho could cost you crazy money, wages are through the roof, and then you find out that he's got an attitude problem, and then you've got we're back to having next Ndombele, right?
I hear you. Well, hold on. Jadon Sancho was absolutely fine at Borussia Dortmund.
No,
that was a good environment.
I'm not putting
that was 4 years ago. So
he's not an issue for England. There's no complaints from England with Jadon Sancho when he plays for them.
He doesn't play for England.
His first season at Man United, he was decent, right? It's only now that There's not one
It's not
player at
only
Man
now.
United.
It's been for the last
Will,
2 whole seasons. It's
there is
not
not
just
one
only
player.
now.
There's not one player at Man United right now that you'd say brilliant. Even Bruno Fernandes looks absolutely woeful, attitude and performance, and he's the captain. He was a cracking player when he first went there. We wanted him. I'm telling you,
Bruno Fernandes still does what Bruno Fernandes did. That's the point. And in fact, most United fans are actually asking for Bruno Fernandes to be taken out of the side because he's too like selfish and focused on doing his own
That's
thing.
my point. Will, but this is my
But
point.
that's what Bruno Fernandes always has done.
He was creating and scoring a couple of years ago.
He's
I
still
think
creating and scoring. He's the only one creating and scoring.
not like before. Not like before.
Listen,
I think anyone at Man United now is choking. Anthony was one of the hottest properties as a wide player in European football. He's gone there and he looks like
Anthony. You have an argument
trash.
because he's only been Anthony. You have an argument because he was only there for 9 months, right? But Jadon Sancho's been there for years, and with rot, sometimes it's too late to save things, right?
You know,
but
when
at some point, root canal doesn't work anymore. You got to pull the tooth
because the dentist hasn't treated the decay. If you stay in a rubbish environment like Ragniak, then you go to a rubbish environment like it started with Oli, right? Sancho went there under Oli, rubbish. Ragniak, turmoil. Ten Hag, meltdown. He hasn't had one positive period at Man United. Spurs is a good, healthy environment right now.
Right, but what I'm saying is that Sancho's been in that cavity-filled mouth for too long, right? Anthony, you can go do a root canal, right? Fix him up, patch him up, get him in a better environment, clear out the bacteria, you're good to go, right? Sanchez has been there too long. That tooth's got to be pulled, man.
I think the important thing is
Harry Kane's been in a rubbish environment at Spurs for ages. He's gone to Bayern Munich. He's all right.
But he's a world-class player. He's not.
What's the difference with Harry Kane and Jadon Sancho? Harry Kane, doesn't matter how bad it is at Tottenham, turns up, does his job right. I think. Listen, by the way,
he wasn't in a bad environment under Pochettino either, right?
Sancho's been banned. He's been banned.
Yeah, but whether or not I agree or disagree with the situation, right? Because I think there's no smoke without fire, right? And I think for a player to be excluded from anything, there's got to have been something that's happened, like. And the fact is I think the players have completely given up with Ten Hag. I'll say that, but the players all were against Sancho.
Were they?
So that tells me his own teammates weren't sitting there in solidarity going, no, we need to get this kid back in. They're happy for him to not be in it. That would raise alarm bells if I'm a scout going, there's got to be a reason here. Like, is it worth taking such a big risk? It's one of those, what I'm saying, so it's one of those gambles that you put on that it could be an absolute money breaker. He comes into Tottenham, fresh environment, and hits the ground running immediately. But the failure of that, and he comes in and it becomes a problem, and he's on a 5-year contract at 300 grand a week, and then you're going in 3 years.
We're not going to pay him that, though. We won't pay him that. We won't.
The problem I've got.
Turn your head to the side real quick. Look over to the left real quick. I want to see if there's last word on Spurs written on the side of your ball cap that I can't see.
Listen, I know I'm talking sense, right, about the environment, because I said the same thing last year when I was telling everyone Romero's a good player. The environment is wrong. There are players at Spurs that are good. The environment is wrong, and now we're seeing it this year. We're talking about the young players, and I'm saying again, Sancho's 23, and from the age of 20 to 23, the young part of his 20s, he's been in a cesspit environment. Pull him out and see. It is a risk, Perchy. I agree with you. It is a risk because we don't know. You're right. There might be some baggage there that isn't shake. You can't shake it off.
Is he a volume?
I think he's a good player. There's a good player there.
Okay, but is he? Guys, I'll chuck this out there with Sancho. I've always
take
said
those last word on Spurs comments back, Will. Take that back.
Well, anyone who's ever streamed with me will know that I call some players sometimes players, right? The players that do really well get loads of hype, but they are good sometimes, right? That's where I put Sancho. I put Sancho in that bucket. Talented beyond belief, but I don't know. Is he that volume goal scorer we need? Because for me, Will, I'll come to you on this. For me, it doesn't need to be a 30, 35 goal a season man, but I think it does need to be someone that offers you 15 to 18, whether they're a wide man or a forward. I think we need that comfort of knowing, right, Sonny's going to get you 18 to 23 over here. We need another bloke that can get 15 to 18 over here. And I don't think we've got that at all anywhere.
Yeah, no, for me, I mean, I think Son's going to get you probably 20 plus playing in this particular system, low balls across the face of the box. He's going to find that. I think what we need is somebody who will get 16 GA in the league on both sides of the pitch. We need someone who's getting 8 goals, 8 assists on the right, someone who's getting 8 goals, 8 assists on the left. James Madison comes in with his 10-10s, right? And we're flying. Right now, we don't have anybody getting 8 or 8 on either side of the pitch, right? So that's the problem for me.
I agree.
And I would say, Son's got, maybe 4 or 5 years left, max, playing at this level. You could bring in somebody to play in behind him. But I think a utility player, somebody who can play down the middle and play on the left, somebody like a Jonathan David or something like that, who's got experience. Yeah, he's not a world-class player or anything like that, but he's going to work hard. He'll get you a goal. He can play on the left. He can play up the middle. He can play on the right. I mean, because for Canada, he plays all across. Canada's team's so bad that they've got, Alphonso Davies playing left winger and, all kinds of different things. So, and then Alphonso Davies always misses their camps. So someone who can do a job pretty much wherever we need it, but do a good job. And I don't mean do a job into where like Brian Hill comes on the pitch and gets fouled once or twice. I'm talking about somebody who actually impacts the game and can score goals, can play on the left for 4 or 5 weeks if Solomon's injured or out for a couple of months. Someone who can play on the right, if Kulusevski is just bad on form. We got Brendan Johnson's yet to see what he can do. But, right now there's a big gaping hole. Perisic isn't coming back, right? He'll be gone in the summer. Solomon, we still don't even know if he's a player yet. So